person?
Amaryllis. I had to up my meds just to finish this.
I was looking at Gwen Shamblin.
Mm-hmm. Vision.
Looking that vision in anorexia and hairspray.
Wow.
And it kind of reminded me of me in 1989 as a senior.
Did it really?
Not the anorexic part.
just the hairspray part.
Just the hairspray part.
Yeah. Yeah.
But honestly, I guess when you compare it, I kind of look more like, Cher in the 70s.
Right.
Relative to Gwen Shamblin's the higher the hair, the closer to God.
Can I tell
situation.
you my favorite Gwen Shamblin do? Okay. And it's one I like to call the Trump. If you'll notice, there are scenes where maybe she didn't get enough botulism injected into her forehead.
Correct. Yeah.
And so there's a small side piece that she would pull over. I'm doing it for Amaryllis here. And she would glue it right. She would glue it right here.
It's quite similar to Trump.
It's quite similar to Trump. And she would just kind of wrap it. It would almost connect to her eyebrow. And you knew it wasn't part of a bang.
No, it's almost like she used museum wax to situate it.
Something.
It was something else.
Epoxy, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Something.
Yeah. Like that adhesive that pageant girls wear.
Yes.
So that their bathing suits stay in place.
Yes. And to be a woman of God, okay.
Yeah.
Let's think about this. And especially with Gwen, as we start to tell y'all about this documentary, you're going to find out that Gwen is really receiving a lot of messages from God, okay?
Special revelation is what we call it.
Special revelation. One he did not give her was to separate her curls.
No.
And I do not believe that it is God's will for any woman to walk around like that.
She had that beach wave / completely stiff hairdo.
It was like she just pulled the rod out and went.
Yes, yes.
Oh my goodness. So many hairstyles.
Yes,
she
friends,
had.
of course, we're talking about the way down.
The way down. And guys, this is On the Dock.
I'm Amaryllis.
And I am Misty.
We're world famous. Misty, this week, you know what has happened this week?
I do know.
We went from tens and tens of listeners
Yes.
to 20s and 20s of listeners.
Y'all.
Viral.
I cannot thank our listeners enough in Norway, number one. I don't know if y'all received the news. We're number 42 in Norway.
In the after shows category.
In the after shows category. Okay. So once Norway is done listening to their podcasts that they enjoy in their own language, their own Norwegian language.
Like the first 41.
The first 41.
Yeah.
Then they say, let's listen on the dock.
It's time for On the Dock.
Yeah. And we really finish it out for them.
Yeah. I was going to attempt a Norwegian accent right there, but then I decided that might be offensive, so I didn't.
I don't even know if Norwegians have their own language or if they speak English.
Sadly, I know that I don't know what the language is in Norway.
Norway, we love you.
But
in
I
whatever
know they probably
language.
do speak English, so.
Do they speak English?
Well, no, not natively, but
I didn't
everybody
think
in the
so
world
natively.
speaks English. You know what they say, Misty. 3 languages, you're trilingual. 2 languages, you're bilingual. 1 language, you're American.
I'm American.
How many languages do you speak?
Just the one. And
How many languages do I speak?
And I also speak a little bit of redneck, so I count that as well.
That is fair.
Yeah.
That requires translation very often.
Well, because when I go to the grocery store, I get a buggy.
Not hard.
No. So I count that.
Okay, well.
All right.
There you have it. I was going to try to kill some time until I found out what the official language in Norway is. Apparently it's called Sami.
Oh.
And Norwegian.
Well, Sammy's is...
Norwegian makes sense because it's from
And here in Alabama...
do they speak in Norway?
Norwegian.
Norwegian.
And here in Alabama, Sammy's is a great gentleman's club.
Well, yes.
Not that I've ever...
spelled the same,
Not
but-
that I've ever visited.
You've heard.
I've heard of.
You've heard.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
Do you have a ghost?
I think it was Rhett trying to come down, maybe.
Oh.
All right.
The Way Down.
The Way Down. Here we go. It's the story of Gwen Shamblin.
Yes.
And the Remnant Fellowship, and they're in Brentwood, Tennessee. It's a huge 40-acre campus. Brentwood is, if you're from these parts, from the Deep South, you know Brentwood, Tennessee.
Can
it's
I tell
where all
you?
the country music stars live.
No, I don't.
Oh, you didn't know?
No, because let me tell you, I was like, was she neighbors with OJ?
No, that's Brentwood, California.
I know. Now I know. It took me watching it 2 times. And the second time I watched it, I was like, well, this don't look like California at all. The whole time I watched it. And then I watched it the second time to take notes, and I was like, oh, well, that's why that man's a farmer.
Did you not hear her accent? She talked just like this.
I thought she was a transplant, okay?
Listen, people in California believe that we Southerners, by virtue of our accent, have about a 35-point IQ drop
Well, yeah.
once we begin to speak.
Well, there's no telling what they think mine is.
Well, they might believe it, but it's not. I mean, obviously. Not reality,
Obviously, the wisdom I shoot out.
I mean, look, we're smart enough to Google that Norway's language.
It's Norwegian. So take that.
So take that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Brentwood, Tennessee. It's a super high-end area of.
Really?
Yes, of Nash Vegas. Yes,
Okay.
it is it's where all the country music stars live. All the celebrities in that part of the world live there. Mm-hmm. And she set out. It's very white bread. Lots of churches because it is the Deep South.
Right.
And they had this 40-acre compound, basically,
Right.
property, where she built this giant church.
But that's not how she started out.
That's not how she started out.
Let's talk about Gwens Beginnings.
Let's talk about Gwens Beginnings.
Okay. And Gwen was just a good old gal that believed that instead of using diet and exercise to lose weight, you could just pray that weight away.
Pray the fat away.
Pray the fat away. And pretty much said that you didn't have to eat until you could hear your body growling
Correct.
for it.
Yeah.
I was under the understanding that means that you are starving.
By that point, you might be faint.
By that point, your blood sugar's dropped. But Gwen said, this is the cry of your hunger. And even then, you don't even have to eat.
She mass marketed this wonderful innovation that we know of as portion control.
Portion control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Intuitive eating.
Right.
When your body wants food,
You eat.
I mean, that's just like that's what our ancestors did.
Right.
Right. Because they typically weren't bored. Right. So when they got hungry.
Right.
But she was like, but then she couched it in a faith-based way, and boy, did we Christians fall for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Ate it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, the Christian community, which you and I are both part of, can be very gullible.
Right.
And when you live in a culture where there is such a problem and such an emphasis placed on your weight, then, I mean, it's just another money-making scheme for that's going to use God as its bait.
Well, and she was ingenious in the fact of teaching these people that the outward symbol of holiness was thinness. And so
I can't even tell you how problematic that is.
When you feel that way, you think, well, gosh, if I'm carrying a couple of extra pounds, they're going to think I don't love God enough.
It's so problematic. I remember a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, who I love so much, and I trust her, and she's just amazing. She was like, let's do Way Down. She was
For
like
real?
a fitness, yeah, she was like a fitness freak, and she had a couple of babies, and she wanted it. So she called like 3 or 4 or 5 of us and was like, let's do Way Down.
Yeah.
And in her mind, the message was real, and it is true. You know, very often you use food, someone who's overweight, and I speak as someone who's overweight. you use food to, it's your drug of choice, right? Some people love alcohol, some people love meth, some people just and it doesn't even matter what kind of food it is, just something
It's a comfort.
Yeah. And so the concept is, let's trade this comfort for the comfort of God, capital letter C, right? And that makes sense for us Christians. We don't ever want to put anything above God.
Right.
And so my sweet friend was like, this is a great message. Let's incorporate this. What it doesn't allow for is biology.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow for is physiology, and it doesn't allow really for psychological problems maybe that you might have while you're, psychological history, your childhood, your traumas, your PTSD, whatever that you might have. It doesn't account for that. It simplifies your weight problem basically to you're being disobedient.
Right.
And your disobedience is showing on your body. And that means you can't be a leader. You must not love God. You must not be holy. And so what does that do then for how you feel about God and your self-esteem and how you feel about yourself? Do you want to embrace a God that rejects you? And so it's so problematic. It's more than just, why don't you pray when you're hungry?
Yeah. Well, and then it also becomes another works-based faith.
Yes.
It's you have to work hard enough to lose this weight.
Yeah.
But then again, she doesn't even give you a healthy way to do it because she says you don't have to exercise. You can eat whatever you want to.
She said,
you just can only eat a teaspoon of it.
Yes.
Basically.
I remember my friend saying that. She was like, if you're hungry, eat a Twinkie if that's what you want, but only do it if you're hungry.
Right.
We're talking about a woman who compared her system to Holocaust survivors.
Yeah.
So she said Holocaust survivors,
it's a proven method.
Or prison camp prisoners, they didn't eat. What happened when they didn't eat, Misty?
They all lost weight.
Well, that's genius.
Genius. And she said that's proven.
Yeah.
When they starved to death.
If I had, of course, back then, when I did this, it was pre-internet and texting and, of course, well before iPhone, so you couldn't look anything up. But if I had known that she had ever breathed a word like that, I mean, book burning I would have had.
And this is a woman who went to college for nutrition.
To be a nutritionist. Like she called herself a health expert.
Yeah, she knew the science behind health and weight and things.
Well, you know what the science is? Calorie restriction. Yeah, you're going to lose weight with calorie restriction.
Right.
But you can't, and that's biology. I mean, that's simple.
That's starvation.
Simple science. Yeah, simple science. You don't eat when I had COVID, I didn't eat at all. I lost 23 pounds in 2 weeks because there was no food inside my body.
Right, and you will.
Yes. Guess what happened when I started eating and I got better?
You gained the weight back. Yes. That's what happens.
But when you position it as a spiritual battle, and certainly, fighting some of these inner demons and sort of getting your mind straight and understanding the reasons why you overeat can be a spiritual battle. But the way she couched it was, all you got to do is pray.
Well, and you have to imagine that many people who struggle with weight, whether it be genetics, whether it be an addiction, whether it be whatever, they have a disability and aren't able to move the way that they should, already struggle with self-loathing a lot of times. And you put on top of that not only are you hating the way that you feel, or you hate the way that you look in certain clothing, or you hate the way that you look to certain people, now God hates the way you look?
Your supposed comforter?
Who is supposed to accept you regardless, who doesn't see the outside but sees the heart? Yeah. Dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's shocking. It's shocking, really, when you break down what she said, because it's not just the message of, hey, let's fill that emptiness. So then what happens is she says, if you don't do this, if you don't pray and ask God to do this, you're being disobedient.
Right.
You're not replacing that idol, the food idol, the weight idol, with God. And so that's putting another God before God, right?
Right.
So now you're being disobedient. And So what happens when you're being disobedient?
You get punished.
You get punished. Terrible things start happening to you. This God of retribution will begin to bring your world down.
Right.
And in their church, well, I'm not going to, that's jumping. I won't jump. But that's sort of their MO there.
Right. But people bought into this.
Oh.
And this woman made a ton of money.
She was very, very successful.
Very successful. And a lot of these women did lose enormous amounts of weight.
They didn't eat, Misty.
Yeah, they were starving themselves.
They didn't eat.
I mean, she basically taught them how to have an eating disorder.
She 100% taught them how to have an eating disorder. Well, you had that lady, I didn't write down her name, but she was the one who was very overweight, and she had gone up and down in her weight, and
Right.
she was one of the main people in this documentary. She talked about that. She said, I lost 157 pounds, but it was calorie restriction.
Right.
And then that's not maintainable.
No.
That's not a way to maintain. You can't do that.
No.
It's not something that lasts forever.
Yeah.
So Gwen becomes really successful with this crazy message that we Christians, again, bought hook, line, and sinker.
Yes.
And she builds this entire empire.
And
over
like
it.
with most things that, where you're selling an idea, she basically would retell the same idea in different forms. And so she had many, many different Bible studies. She had workshops. She had all of these books and cassette tapes and different things, videos. So she just kept raking it in, selling the same crap in
And
different
Christians
boxes.
They didn't test her.
No, they didn't care.
They didn't care.
Yeah.
14,000 churches in 70 countries.
And you know what really got me? They show a little clip from, I think it was maybe Dateline or something. And
She became she got a lot of notoriety.
she did. She got a lot of notoriety. And they're doing this thing where they're going through a bookstore. And I'm thinking, well, this is crazy. I'm thinking to myself, surely this is the only woman who has thought of such an idea. They're going through there are a lot of books about this, like that people have come up with this idea. One of my favorite was a book called What Would Jesus Eat?
Some locusts.
I'm sorry, one time he didn't eat for 40 days. Are you suggesting that? Because that'll get you killed. He
probably lost weight.
He probably lost weight. That'll get you killed.
He probably lost weight.
Yeah, and
We would call that a diet.
you would call that a diet.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say he had a lot of fish.
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah, he walked a lot.
Walked a lot. I mean,
Carpenter, so lots of exercise.
carpentry.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to do a Jesus fitness, just get yourself a pair of sandals and a hammer and a fishing rod.
Please, let's write a book.
I'm going to.
Why haven't we thought of this before?
Yeah, I am. And mine's going to be
The
called...
fishing carpenter diet.
No, not mine. Are you ready for what mine's
Yeah,
going to be
what?
called? It's going to be called, What Did Jesus Not Eat? And that's going to be my diet because I don't think I ate anything that Jesus ate.
She says while she's got a Mountain Dew right in front of her.
This Mountain Dew right here. He did not drink Mountain Dew. I'm going to tell you that. Because...
So she also began to take credit for people not just getting off food, but using this concept for getting off drugs,
oh,
pornography.
pornography.
She's
Yes.
a savior.
She is.
She's a savior. And
She's
it's
saving marriages.
yes.
She's helping people parent. She's helping all kinds of things. But guess who she could not help?
Her own husband.
Her own husband. And so she said, hey, Chunky, you cannot be in any of my things because I think you're overweight.
So at first he kind of was around. They said that, well, yes, she would not let him
And
anywhere.
I'm sorry, I saw pictures of the man.
Normal.
He did not look obese to me.
He's normal man.
He did not look like...
Dad bod.
I mean,
Yeah.
a dad bod, exactly. He looks like every other dude.
Yeah.
But to her, I guess that was so unholy that he wasn't allowed to be a part of any of her things.
No.
You never saw him.
Well, yes. When Way Down went crazy and she began to see these successes with marriages and pornography and getting off drugs, which
Yes.
is ridiculous.
Whatever.
She says, you know what? I need to start a church.
Mm-hmm.
So she takes the Way Down people. They start a home church that eventually grows to become this huge mega church.
Yes.
And that's when they said, like, her husband was around at the beginning of that. And then over the years, she was like, no, you need to stay in the background because you need to lose a few pounds.
Yeah, because
also her son.
And her son. Well, he could sing when he was thin.
Yes, or when he wasn't thin, he could only sing that one song, and then he would get off the stage.
And he had to sit on a stool.
Yeah.
So nobody could see.
Yeah.
But guess who Gwen decided would make the perfect pastor for this mega church?
Tarzan.
Herself. Tarzan comes later, Amarella's. Stop skipping ahead.
Sorry. So, yeah, she's the perfect person to lead this church.
She is. And also to work for the way down, what else was required of you?
To work for Way Down?
Right. Remember, she has her Way Down company. Mm-hmm. And if you worked for the Way Down, you had to join her church.
You had to go to the church. Yes.
You had to go to the church.
Yes, they were pressured. In fact, she got sued because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because she was forcing them to go to their church.
Join the church.
Or heavily pressuring them to go to the church.
Drink the Kool-Aid.
Well, I mean, where else is she going to get her members?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of course.
So at some point during Remnant Fellowship, now the thing is, she's very dynamic somehow. Like, she's... Like, the people that talked about her, like the ones that had left Remnant and that were there at the beginning, they talked really well about her. I mean, they realized they left, so they know that she was cultish.
Right.
But they talked about how she was a genuine person, how she really loved the Lord. And, like, when I hear her talk, I just see show. Like, I just see complete...
There was nothing
sincere.
Endearing to me about her, okay?
Yeah.
Now, she starts off as this kind of, like you said,
Demure.
Southern Baptist housewife
Marm,
kind of look. And then she goes to what the one woman described as straight up cracked out hooker.
Yes. There's not really another way to describe it.
She looks insane, okay?
I don't understand, Misty. I don't understand how nobody just pulled her aside and said, hey, this is inappropriate.
I mean, I couldn't have followed her when she was dressing normally and spilling out this vomit on everybody. But then once I saw the transformation into this, like...
Massive plastic surgery.
Cold
taught.
She looked like she was on meth 24/7. Crazy.
Very skinny. Anorexic, really.
Anorexic looking. She looked like she had put on her eyeliner with her feet. I mean, it was a hot
She was
mess.
a lollipop head, that is for sure.
A hot mess.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen somebody that is trying to act straight, but you know that they are cracked out? Mm-hmm. That's exactly what she reminded me of.
Yeah, it is unbelievable that she had this giant church full of people that were taking her seriously. The other thing is it's actually like in a lot of ways, it was a real traditional church. There's a heavy emphasis on marriage. In fact, a lot of people were forced to remain married until, of course, she didn't want to stay married. So then it was okay. It's kind of like my mom. Sorry, Mom. She doesn't listen. So she said, not that she got divorced. Not it.
Don't you dare say a word about that woman. I will come over there.
That's not what I mean. No, we always teased because she grew up in a very conservative denomination, very conservative Christian, and passed that along to us. And like, we weren't allowed to dance, and dancing was like kind of a sin. And I went to a high school, a Christian school, that dancing was a sin. And then my sisters and I got married, and we all had little girls, and we put them in dance. And then it wasn't a sin because it was the grandchildren, and they were so cute in their outfits.
Can I ask you a question? Is this the same school that you cheered at?
Correct.
What did y'all do? Stand still?
We did not dance. You
didn't do any kind of swaying?
Yes. I mean, that's different than dancing to music.
Oh, okay.
Yes. You know what they say, why Southern Baptists don't dance. Don't believe in premarital sex because it leads to dancing.
Oh, no. Well, I know as soon as me and Philip did it, I started boogieing. So it's probably true. No, I'm kidding.
So, yeah, I mean, when I was first of all, my skirt was just above my knee. like maybe an inch above my knee, possibly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was. I'll have to find a picture for you. There were long skirts.
It's a Mary Catherine Gallagher type situation.
Yes. And I mean, we did regular cheers, and we went to camp and stuff like
but
that.
But y'all never did any like dances, performances
No.
like our girls do.
Oh gosh,
okay.
no.
Yeah.
In fact, at the beginning of the school year, when you signed your
Waiver.
student handbook, there was one of the things that you agreed to was to not dance.
Stop.
Yeah. And like, I didn't dance. Like, it wasn't a thing for me. Like, it wasn't, to me, it didn't matter because it just wasn't part of our lives.
Did
like,
sometimes in your room, if the group really caught you and you heard like maybe some Michael Jackson, did you move a little bit?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's kind of a different situation than like, I don't know. I think my mom was just worried more about like sexual movements and sexual dancing like that.
I bet you did not get to watch Dirty Dancing.
I did, but only because she didn't really understand where I was going.
Yeah.
And there's a culture gap in our family and a language gap.
That's my favorite
and so,
movie.
I love that movie. I saw it 2 or 3 times in the theater.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And like, for instance, and this was more when we were much younger.
Right.
But now my school was still super conservative. Like, I wasn't allowed to watch Solid Gold.
What?
No, because of the dancing. Because of the costumes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're really tiny little outfits. And
I bet you would never have been allowed to watch Dancing with the Stars.
Probably not.
No, ma'am.
Yeah. Although that's a different kind of dance than what my mom was talking about.
No,
I think
they
she
do
was
that
just worried about
merengue.
like Elvis Presley kind of stuff.
Oh, like hips down.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. And listen, to be very clear, that's not where we are today. My mom is not like that. She's evolved over the years.
Evolved. Haven't they all?
She's evolved. She's awesome.
But yeah, Gwen was one of those who said, "Hey, you need to stick it out. You need to be with your man.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if he's committed adultery
Or beat you.
You just
abuse you.
keep praying and hanging on, and God will restore your marriage." And then she met Joe. Y'all,
Joe.
Gwen meets a man, and then, as one of her ex-congregants said, God came down off the throne and said, "Gwen, you can get a divorce." And then he went and climbed right back up on it and said, "Never mind, nobody else can but you."
As soon as she got divorced, there was a rash of divorces.
Oh, there was a rash, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, all the women said, "Well, we want divorces too."
We've been wanting to get divorced. And now that Gwen did it, because anything Gwen did
was holy.
By the way, before she met Joe and she was pastor at this church, she decided to change millennia of doctrine and eliminate the Trinity.
The Holy Trinity, yes.
Which is
the entire
pretty much the basis of our
Christianity.
She was like, it's just not
she
what
said, "I'm
I
not
think."
really feeling Jesus or the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Just me and God.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Right. Now listen, we're not talking about Hinduism. We're not talking about Islam. We're not talking about Baha'i. We're talking about Christianity.
Straight up Christianity.
When you say the Trinity doesn't exist in Christianity,
you are not a Christian. You can't be.
You aren't.
There's no salvation. There's no grace.
There's a rejection of Jesus, which is Jesus Christ, is where we get the word Christian from.
Right.
I mean, you're just not a Christian anymore. But somehow I
don't even know. How do you even spin that?
Well,
and
that's
still
what I was
say you're a
say.
Christian.
Somehow, in her way of speaking, in her way of just somehow she convinced these people that, hey, this is what I think, and she stuck to it, man.
And they're
now,
not dumb
what that
people.
did was it caused lots of, like, Thomas
Waves.
Nelson Publishing
totally
fired her from or cut her from the
book
roster of
deals,
authors, and a bunch of churches were like, we're not doing Way Down anymore, and
Yeah.
that really sort of was
And
what
a lot of the
separated.
church pulled out. I think she said it was like half of the church pulled out.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, because it's one thing, she's a woman leading a church, which was controversial in itself, and I'm not here to advocate for or against that.
Right.
But that was controversial in itself. And what's interesting is, for such a traditional church at the time, that was all male leadership. It was all male leadership everywhere,
Right.
top to bottom, except
for her.
Gwen.
Yeah.
But it was almost like she knew that she was a woman, And so she acted like a man, which is why she made everybody be, and very white bread too.
Yes.
No diversity.
No. And I think, honestly, when she did that, that was kind of her way of weeding out those who would not be her true cult followers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, and it totally did.
Like, she laid it down and was like, you know, it's kind of, they all do that thing. All these cult leaders do that thing. They make it seem super normal, and then one day they're like, hey, let's all drink Kool-Aid and kill ourselves.
Yes.
And then those who are like, well, yeah, you're the one, stay. And the ones who are like, that's crazy, that doesn't make any sense, leave.
Yep.
And then they have their true followers. And I think that's kind of what she was doing, was going, hey, I don't believe in the Trinity anymore. I believe in me. And who's going to follow me?
Right. And I've been told this by God. So in order for you to be obedient to God, you have to be obedient to me.
Right.
Which is unbelievable.
And then she meets Joe.
Joe Lara.
And you got to be obedient to Joe too. Because Joe's her man.
It really made me upset when I would see him on the stage of that church with a Bible, because it's so offensive to those of us that are believers.
He was for sure playing a part.
I don't know how they couldn't see it. I don't know how they couldn't see it. First of all, she meets him and marries him in real short order.
Oh, yeah.
And real short order after her divorce.
Now, let me explain to you a little bit about Joe Lara. He was an up-and-coming actor back in his younger days, and even had a little TV series.
Very handsome.
Very handsome. He looked like one of these like Fabio type cover
like
of
1986 pornography.
Absolutely.
And Dracar Noir became a throuple and had a baby.
Yes, absolutely. Now, he doesn't meet Gwen until his older age.
Yeah.
And by this time, he still wants to hang on to these good looks, okay? So he looks pretty much like a living, breathing mummy. His face does not move. He's had so many chemicals put in it.
Yes.
So much work done.
Peeled down to the lowest layer.
At one point in one of the videos, I saw him try to lift his eyebrow. And I thought, well, his face is going to crack right in half.
He used his hands.
He used 2 fingers, and he pulled it up, and he said, well, I'm curious about that. So, y'all, he just looks plastic. So plastic.
Yeah. Now, a little bit about Joe is he did not like to work. He liked playing around as an actor.
Right.
And he had a history of not paying bills. He had a history of taking advantage of people that he was with all the time.
The women.
And so when he met Gwen, it came at just the right time.
Jackpot.
Just the right time. Now, just before he met Gwen, he had been in a years-long relationship with a lady named Natasha, and they had a little girl.
They had a little girl.
And they had never been married. They just lived together for a long time, and so they had this pretty little girl.
Yeah.
And I can't remember how old. She's got to be like 10 or 11 by now, if not more.
I think she was around like 8 or 9 when they were doing this documentary.
Okay, all right.
So she's probably 11 or 12.
Yeah. Joe moves in with Gwen, gets married to Gwen in a...
Quick.
Well, not just a quick wedding, but a decadent wedding.
This wedding.
It was like this woman had been planning her wedding her whole life, and she was 19 years old.
Amaryllis, her facial expressions during this wedding made me so uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable.
Like, it was gross.
That dress.
That dress was gross.
That dress was gross. It's
her whole, like, having the children of the corn following behind her in white.
How do you like that children's choir wearing red lipstick? Those little girls are 7 years old and
how do you like lipstick. That? I'm pretty sure she has been bleaching their skin.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
I've never seen such white children in my life. Yeah. And I'm a white person. Yes. Okay. These children look chemically peeled.
Chemically peeled.
With red lipstick on.
Potentially. Yeah.
Singing hymns in colonial dresses.
I was going to say she went back to Laura Ingalls Wilder and found her a good dress.
It's like she found some colonial baby ghosts, and they just followed her down the aisle, singing songs.
Looks like they're 7 years old about to get christened.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was really uncomfortable and inappropriate. And that, and they got married in that facility that the church owns that's strictly for weddings for church people.
For just church people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For church people.
Yeah. And then one of my favorite things was after they got married, they would make these, because then it became Gwen and Joe, and they would make these promotional
That is show,
type
Life with Gwen and Joe.
Yeah, like promotional videos. Y'all, if you are having that feeling like you need to vomit, go watch this and it'll help you get it up.
Yes.
Because there are things like him crawling around on the floor, chasing her upstairs, like
It's gross.
and like you said, I think he used someone who was retired from the pornography business to film it because it was cheesy.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, he was.
It was so gross.
He was. Oh, by the way, did we talk about he wanted to be a famous country singer? And that's right when he met Gwen.
And Gwen had a recording studio.
Wow,
And guess what else she had?
$1 bazillion.
A bazillion dollars and a video camera to make his own country music videos.
This reminds me of Tiger King country music videos.
They were about the
Do you remember-
quality
What was the name
of
of that
Tiger
song
King.
that we used to love at the Tiger King?
Oh,
crap, we sang it and everything.
gosh, what was it?
Oh my word, we'll have to go back and figure it out.
I've got to figure it out because I'm singing it at the end of this episode. I'm singing it at the end of this episode. You better listen all the way to the end because we're singing it at the end of this episode. I saw a tiger, and a tiger saw me.
The tiger saw a man.
I saw a tiger, and a tiger saw a man.
We're going to have to pay ASCAP royalties, I'm sure, to Joe in jail.
Oh, Joe.
He could use the 3 or 4 pennies from our 20s and 20s listeners.
20s and
that are
20s,
listening.
yes.
Okay, so I think what made me the most uncomfortable is seeing them together pretend to preach the word of God.
Mm-hmm.
And he would never say anything that was of value. He would say platitudes and
Platypus.
I mean, he would just say, basically
Just
things
words.
like, cleanliness is next to godliness. With the Bible open. He
just have the Bible open.
Yes.
And he'd be like, and y'all.
God helps those who help themselves.
That's right.
It's so uncomfortable because they just position him as the
Lord
man
knows.
of God, like a wise man of God, just because he got married to Gwen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, listen, if you are not a Christian, you do not understand this. But God does not give special revelation to people, okay?
No.
As Christians, we believe that God's word is what he's given us for
Inherent,
now.
yeah.
And we do have prayer, and we can go back and forth with God that way.
Mm-hmm.
But we are not told secrets.
Right.
Okay, God does not tell us secrets.
Right.
And that's what was happening with Gwen Shamblin. God told me. And now that Joe married me, I told him, and so we're leading you.
And now he knows too.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
It
it.
made me so uncomfortable. It made me so uncomfortable. All right, so he had this baby, and but he's a mega lowlife. Because,
horrible.
And I don't understand why nobody researched this guy. Why did this not raise red flags? He has this little girl with this lady, and they had always agreed that by the time the little girl got in kindergarten, they would move back to her hometown in Chicago area. She had family up there.
Right.
She could get a job. He could get a job.
Right.
If his country music career had not.
Yeah, she was like, you have this many years to get this thing off the ground.
Yes.
I'm going to let you try to live out your dream.
Correct.
And if it doesn't happen,
got a
buddy,
kid now.
we got to take her to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a kid now. Well, the time came, and he did not want to move. So,
He married Gwen.
no, he did not marry Gwen. You know what he did? He accused her of sexually molesting this little girl.
That's right. I was thinking that happened after Gwen, but
No,
that happened
right
Gwen.
before.
Right before Gwen.
He accused this sweet Natasha lady, whose very world is this little girl, of sexually abusing. And the police came and arrested her in front of her daughter.
Can you, as a mother, imagine someone saying that about you.
It gives me heart palpitations thinking about it.
Me sick.
Yeah, and he just watched that. He just said, I guess she'll have to stay with me, and you'll just go to jail.
Of course, the court.
Yeah, it wasn't very long before they figured out that was a lie.
Crap. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lie. And then it wasn't long after that he met Gwen. He was a handyman going to that church. He was a handyman. Listen, I love
He was
handyman.
a real.
It's not a negative on them. It's just that Joe was like. He
It's
was
like
nobody because he was just trying to make it.
But how in one day do you go from maintenance man to the Gwen and Joe show?
To leading an entire congregation in
Right.
the words of God. Do you know how much training it takes? Our pastor has a freaking PhD.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you don't go from country music, semi-good country music singer, emphasis on semi.
He didn't even claim to be a Christian before they got married.
Correct.
I don't think he was a member of a church.
No. Correct.
Oh my goodness.
He was a handyman who got connected to Remnant somehow by a friend.
Right.
And that's where he met Gwen. And Gwen was like, I need a new face because my ex-husband was old and fat, and now I need somebody that's handsome to represent the way down empire.
And that face ain't never moving.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct. And so they would, another thing is that we haven't touched on, is they had some really awful child raising philosophies. This is probably, there's some really gross things. We can talk about how she feels about people that overeat. We can talk about how she feels about staying in marriage. We can talk about how she feels about her kids taking over just because I guess God has grandchildren.
Yeah.
And, but I think the most egregious is this
Child rearing. It's awful.
because guess what? It killed at least 2 people.
Yeah.
It killed at least 2 people.
Yeah. And probably they don't even know how many of these kids probably committed suicide because of it.
Let me tell you what I will not accept in my life is parenting advice from particular people.
No.
I'm just not going to. I recognize that I have made many mistakes, and I'm going to make many more. My kids are young still, young teenagers and a young child. But I will not take parenting advice from a woman who says she received special revelation, a woman whose hair looks like that, period. That's just a warning sign. Look, it's a red flag.
No, ma'am.
It's a red flag.
It's a red flag.
It's a red flag.
Yeah.
I will not take advice from a woman whose daughter became anorexic because of the trauma of losing her own child and not being allowed to grieve.
That poor girl. Can I please tell you, when you first see her, now this is her daughter we're talking about, her biological daughter. When you first see her, she looks like a healthy, blonde, cute little girl. By the time she's lost her baby and she's being groomed to take over this mega church, she looks like the cross between Jack Skellington's wife and Powder from the movie Powder. Oh my God. I'm like, is that not?
Yes.
I was thinking, if who had a baby, what would she? I have never seen skin so white, a body so frail.
Yeah, she was sad.
The hair was like that of hay.
Yes, sad. It's sad.
Like
It's sad.
she looked
Sickly.
drained of life is what she looked like.
Well, she lost her child and she was not allowed to grieve for it. And
Oh, no.
beyond that, she probably felt guilty because that was probably God's punishment for something that she did, right?
Well, she didn't lose enough weight, so then she
Obviously.
had to be completely anorexic
Yeah.
to be holy.
Or she was obsessed with finding out who was being disobedient and caused her child to die.
Oh yeah, because if they had issues like when Gwen's grandchild passed away, they decided that it was definitely a punishment from God, but not on their family.
Oh, no.
It had to be someone within the church. So they started calling well checks.
Yep.
Calling in families and going, what have y'all done to make my
Talk to me about
grandchild
your
die?
marriage. Talk to me about your marriage.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your sin. It's so Scientology-like.
Meanwhile, she's giving out parenting advice. I've been waiting all week to ask you this, Amaryllis. Please tell me what Nova Barnett would do if you came at her with a glue stick.
It wouldn't be good.
Y'all, these people were beating their
Nova fights
kids
back.
with those ginormous glue sticks. What?
Have you ever heard of Baby Wise?
Yes.
It reminded me a little bit of Baby Wise.
It did, because let me tell you something. I read Baby Wise.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, and somebody told me to read it, and I read it, and I was like, I'm not really feeling all that.
Yeah. Well, Baby Wise certainly has some, interesting things in it, and probably some good advice occasionally. And like the good advice might be, you're the boss of your children, right? The bad advice is, don't do anything at all that your children ever want.
No.
Even if they're babies.
And
even
isolate
if they tell you
them.
they're hungry, even if they tell you it's not time to feed them, so do not give them food.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so Baby Wise over the years has been blamed for some abuse, because it can be taken to the extreme, and has, just like what Gwen was saying.
Oh, yeah.
It can be taken to the extreme, and psychologists and psychiatrists do not like Baby Wise. They do not like it. I read it when my oldest one, I was pregnant with her, and then when my youngest one came along, I kind of brought it back up. But then looking on the internet, I realized psychologists were like,
not a good idea.
pediatricians were like, do not do this. And it reminded me of that, because she kept saying, I got so angry. I can't even tell. I get so angry so often at the stupid show.
Yeah.
When she had all those children around her at church.
Amaryllis, let me pull out my notes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
She had those children around her, and she said, God will not love you if you do not listen to your mom and dad and obey them on the first time they tell you to do something.
She said, and I quote, "You cannot go to heaven if you do not obey mommy on earth, and you will only live a few years, and then you will go to hell." That is exactly what she said.
Why did every single parent in that church not get up,
yank your
and
child
walk
up,
out the door?
Run out the door.
That's on video. We're not even making that up.
No, that's I think part of her child rearing series.
Let me tell you, as someone who loves church and tries to obey God, that is so offensive. That is so.
I can't wrap my mind around it.
I can't wrap my mind around it either, because I have a child who will never do what I tell her to do on the first time.
Yes.
She won't. It's her personality. And you know what? The truth is, I'm glad for it, because as awful as it is now at her age, when she becomes president of the United States and gets us out of the mess we're in, we're going to be grateful for it.
Right. And how about, I don't want my child to ever not feel the freedom to question what an adult tells them to do. Okay? Because
question authority.
Do you know what I've taught my children is, you are to do what's right, and you are to do what God instructs us to do, but you don't have to do what an adult instructs you to do if it is wrong, if it is unsafe, and if it is not what you want to do.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, no, I've always told, and my mom told me this too, you can always question your teachers as long as you do it respectfully.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
Always.
Always question you can question authority. I
That's
always
right.
tell her that. It is okay to say no. And I know my teenager has done that. I know she has.
Yeah. That kind of message of you are obedient immediately and ask questions never is what gets children abused.
Oh, gosh.
By relatives, by teachers, by adults, because adults are authority, and you're never supposed to question.
Now we're not just talking about that kind of abuse, like the potential for that kind of abuse. Now we're talking about spiritual abuse.
Right.
Because now you're going to spend the rest of your life with that in your head.
Well, she took away the Trinity. So she took away grace.
Yeah.
She took away forgiveness.
Yeah.
She took away everlasting love.
And she has this special message from God that only she has.
Yeah.
If you don't obey us on the first time. Oh, and it's not just obey your parents, because now your parents are under her authority because they go to the Remnant Fellowship Church.
Right.
So it's obeying Gwen. It's obeying all the elders. It's obeying all these men, dozens of men that are in leadership on the first try.
And even to the point that they're told to obey other families within the church. Yeah. Okay.
Takes a village.
This one woman, do you remember her that said that she left her children with Girl, that got me so hot. She said she left her children with another family from Remnant over the weekend or something. And by the time she picked them up, she could tell that they had been physically punished, beat down, to the point that they were like, Mommy, may we carry your bags? Like little robots.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, Amaryllis, if I entrusted, which I never do, if I entrusted my children with someone, I don't care who it was.
Yeah.
I don't care if it was my best friend for all of my life.
Yeah.
And I got there and she said to me, I had to whoop up on your kid this weekend.
No.
Girl, it would take all of Pelham Police Department and the fire department to hold me back from beating her tail.
Yeah.
Okay? Like,
it would not be a good
you
day
don't
for her.
touch somebody else's kid. Ever.
No.
It blew my mind.
Yeah.
And then, on top of that, she not only is sending this message to these children, but she's sending it out to the parents and how they're instructed to discipline.
Yeah.
To the point that, like we said, kids died.
Yeah.
And one of these families that it affected, and it's one of the children that died, there is, before the child dies, there's this cassette series, and it's these women calling in and saying, thank you so much for your help. Like, you've changed our lives with all of this knowledge and your wisdom and da-da. And so this
Kinda like
mother...
that courtship guy. You have such great wisdom.
That's right. This mother of this child calls in and says, Gwen, I just want to thank you. Like, you've totally changed our lives. What was the little boy's name?
Oh, Jack?
Jack. Yeah. I only have Jack Skellington in my notes.
Joseph.
Joseph was so out of control, and we did what you said, and we spanked him multiple times on the back of his thighs with a glue stick, and then we put him in his room from Friday until Monday with no furniture, nothing in his room, just his Bible, and locked him in.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And she was celebrated for it. Good job.
She said, praise God. Now, did you also understand that to mean she locked him in there and did not let him out?
Correct.
So,
Bathroom in there.
Bathroom in there.
Mm-hmm. Food.
Probably no food, if I had
No
to
food,
guess,
yeah,
because
probably.
the way down, because, you know.
Yeah. No, can't let him get fat.
Can't let him get fat. So,
He's 8.
he's 8.
Yeah.
They basically physically abused their child and held him captive for 4 days, and they celebrated her for this after beating him with a glue stick.
Yeah, that was the go-to, is the glue stick. Have you tried a glue stick?
Have you tried the glue stick?
Yeah. Which Gwen categorically denied. She said it got taken out of context, except about 3 different people talked about glue sticks.
How did that get? Oh, she said that whole tape had been
Oh, yes, spliced and
whatever. Diced.
Yeah.
No, it did not, Gwen.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I did not say that. You don't know that I said that.
Yeah. Now, same little Joseph, a few months down the road, is in church with his parents, and he is causing a ruckus, as children do, okay? And from what I could tell from this documentary and the way they talked about him, the child obviously already had some type of either neurologic disorder, some, defiance disorder.
He had something going on.
He had something mentally going on that was...
Neurodivergent, they call it.
Right, neurodivergent, that he was not in control of,
Yeah.
okay? So...
That was very clear.
Very clear. So they take him to church, and he is acting up as kids do and being loud and whatever. So they decide to lock him in a wicker basket.
Trunk.
Trunk, okay.
Yeah.
It looks like it's not even very big.
No, it's tiny.
It's tiny. I don't even know how they had to have folded him up to get him in there.
I don't know how they got him in.
Closed the lid, and every time he would pop his head out of the lid, they would smack him in the head and smash the
With the lid,
With
yeah.
the lid. Smash the lid
Like
down.
a Jack in the Box.
Right, smash the lid down on his head. Well, eventually, he stopped coming out of the box. And
When the show was over, they were like, we should probably check on him.
when the show was over, then they let him out of the box, and he was dead.
Non-responsive. Yep.
Non-responsive. Yeah. And they said by the time they got him to the emergency room that the only places that he did not have either old or new injuries was either on the palms of his hands and the soles of his feet.
Well, at church, the dad had told the child care worker when he wasn't behaving to just go beat him.
And told the other children to hit him.
Just beat him up.
Yeah.
And she thought he was kidding, and then she realized, no, he really, and she said, I'm not doing that. So he went and did it for her.
Yeah. And one of the other little girls that went to church with him said, we were told that if Joseph acted up around us, we were to hit him.
I don't understand that. I don't know why somebody doesn't speak up. I don't understand that. And of course, being like, if he's on the spectrum, if he's got a OCD or OCC or anything, that's not of God.
Oh,
so
well,
you can't do that.
No.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever he's got, quote unquote,
It's
is
a
straight from the
punishment.
devil.
Yeah.
Well, it's punishment. Yes, that's true. Punishment or from the devil.
Amaryllis, can you imagine what I've done with my
What
two?
did you do, Misty?
I have two on the spectrum, so can y'all even imagine what kind of evil I am?
What were you and Philip doing?
And I've got Avery. She's even worse. She's just a butthole sometimes.
It doesn't compute in my brain. I mean, I've told my girls, and I'm sure you tell your children, you could be shooting puppies in the middle of the street, and I wouldn't care. Not that I wouldn't care. I would still love you. I would still help you. I would still do what I need to do to make you successful in life. You know? I would do whatever. So it doesn't compute to me.
Yeah. I tell my kids, there's nothing you could ever do to make me love you less.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like, not that I would condone it, not that I would celebrate it.
Sure.
But the way that God loves us.
Yeah.
And the way that he forgives us and wants to make us better than we are, that's the way we should love our kids.
So I guess that's why I just don't understand how a parent could say, maybe they feel like that is loving them, is disciplining them.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe in discipline, okay?
Well, yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking
This
about
is abuse.
Abuse, right?
Yeah, this is
Discipline
abuse.
that has spilled over into abuse.
And they have labeled it
discipline.
godly discipline.
Godly
Yeah.
discipline.
Mhm.
Right. Spare the rod, spoil the child, situation. Yeah, I it just doesn't compute to me.
So, after the whole murder of a child thing, things kind of got a little less great for the remnant church. And you start to see Gwen kind of backing out.
When the firm beliefs got questioned, that's what they called them, the firm beliefs.
Right.
The children.
You see Gwen starting to try to kind of back out and start pushing her older children to the forefront.
Yeah.
Because they kind of need a new face.
Yes.
And Gwen's is melting away.
Yeah. It seems. Yeah, it's a little waxy.
Not that hair.
It's a little waxy. No, that
hair's
now
never-
that hair's flammable.
That hair's never been higher.
It has never been higher, and it is highly flammable.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of wired ribbon that you use at Christmas.
Yes, that mesh.
Yeah, like you could almost
Yeah.
form it into whatever
Yeah. Oh,
shape
yeah.
you wanted.
Yeah. Well, she did.
She did.
Absolutely did.
She did.
Yeah. Like if she had wanted to do that Cindy Lou.
Woohoo? Like the
Woohoo.
crazy?
Yeah, like she could have done that.
Oh, yeah.
It really, you just have to look at a picture. I mean, you can just go on our Facebook page and look at it, or just.
There's no way we can
By the way, this is
describe it.
streaming on HBOMax.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, but the very last scene was to be continued, and in the spring there's supposed to be 2 more episodes.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
I'm excited about that, too.
So the kids kind of come to the forefront. Now, how uncanny is it that really skinny one, the old, I guess she's the older one, the daughter. Because there's a daughter and a son. They're both married.
That's Mrs. Skellington.
Mrs. Skellington, yes. She's uncannily a lot like Gwen.
Very much
the way they talk
so. Yeah.
is she can speak just like her. And spoiler alert, Joe and Gwen are killed in a
plane accident.
Plane crash. Yes, they were headed to a Trump rally
That Joe is the pilot of.
and Joe was not supposed to be the pilot of, not licensed, lost his medical, he had to have like a medical license to, not like an MD, but you have to like pass your medical test or whatever to pilot, and he did not have one on file. So, but he was flying it anyway.
Well, because probably God told him to.
Probably God told Gwen, and Gwen told him.
And Gwen told him, yeah.
But what's interesting is that plane took off, and it crashed right away.
Yeah.
So it was just like, whoop, bam.
Whoop.
Yeah. Because it took off, and it went right back down. It wasn't like they were in the air going.
Yeah.
They crashed right there where they took off.
I'm going to say Joe was not a skilled pilot.
Joe was not.
I'm going to say Joe's pilot skills were about like his singing skills.
7 members of that church were killed on that airplane.
Yeah.
7 members, including Gwen and Joe.
Right.
And Hannah, the daughters, not Hannah, that's not her name, Elizabeth Hannah is her last name. Her husband was killed, and then 4 other people were killed.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people from one church. Can you imagine?
No.
I can't imagine that. The grief.
Well, they're not allowed to grieve.
They're not allowed to grieve.
Mm-mm. And obviously somebody did something. Yeah.
And like 2 or 3 days later, good old Gwen's daughter was on stage saying, "I'll take the mantle."
Oh.
It's like she planned this whole thing.
Yeah. She was like, I got it.
The mantle.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Now, I don't know where the son is. The son doesn't want anything more than to leave that church, but he feels obligated to stay.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see what happens moving forward. But I guess the best thing for Joe's daughter probably, sadly, was that he was killed in this accident. Because, mom no longer has to fight this. The daughter didn't like going over there because she wasn't allowed to do anything.
Right. Well, she was probably being beaten, if I had to guess.
Not allowed to do anything except for the confines of that church.
Right.
And it's just, she really was this cult leader in the middle of this high-end area that's covered in churches.
Yeah.
Like regular good old Southern
Baptist churches,
Presbyterian, Methodist churches, and then you got Remnant Fellowship that she just decided to build.
Yeah. And
out of nowhere.
And I don't know if y'all have been told, but that's the only church going to heaven. So.
Oh, that's right.
Get your membership card while you can.
That's right. Well, that comes from her Church of Christ Beginnings. The Church of Christ, and I'm not an expert on this, but as near as I can tell, that denomination believes that they're the Church of Christ. Like, that's why they're called that, and that their membership in the Church of Christ is what's required for entry into heaven.
Oh, okay.
So,
I did not know
and
that.
it's a very traditional, very male-centric. But, you have Gwen's personality and her leadership abilities, and she just happens to be a woman, so she's just like, well,
take the reins.
Here we are. I'm just going to do it.
Of course.
It's impressive, really.
This is what I'm saying. I think I'm so much more charismatic and better looking than Gwen. Why don't we have more listeners?
Well, we have 20s and 20s and 20s?
20s and 20s.
Yes.
I want hundreds and hundreds.
I would like hundreds and hundreds.
What have I got to do?
You know what? Maybe we should tease our hair.
I'm going to tease my hair.
And stack heels.
Hooker boots.
Yes. Short skirts.
Yes.
Low cut shirts, and preach from the stage.
Feed
your children.
Can I give you some Botox? You don't need it, so it's going to just freeze your face up. You're not going to.
I'll take it if it means we will get one new listener, Misty.
You're not going to be able to close your eyes when I'm done. Oh. But if it'll get
I've
us
got too much to do anyway.
If it'll get us one more on the doc listener, I'll do it for you.
What can we do? We've got to figure out.
We've got to figure it out.
We want to get to 30s and 30s of listeners.
Y'all send us your suggestions on what. Do we need to start a cult? I mean, I'll do it. I'm just kidding.
Listen.
I'm not starting a cult. I'm too tired.
Listen, fun fact. Our episode from not last week, it was like 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, is our highest listened to episode ever.
Lula Rich.
Thank you, Lula Rowe.
Thank you, Lula Rowe.
Thank you, Mark and Deanne Steven.
Wow.
I mean, people love to hear about Lula Rowe.
I think we doubled our listens.
No, we tripled our listens.
Tripled?
Yeah.
Yeah, we tripled our listens. Yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out to everybody who's listened.
Yes.
Please.
Now, I will say this, Misty. I haven't even told you this.
Amaryllis.
I I will check our reviews on iTunes pretty
If
regularly.
you tell me we got a less than 5-star rating.
We have 42 reviews.
Okay.
One of them is a 4-star review, and the rest of them are 5. No, that's not true. One of them is a 4-star review. Mm-hmm. Almost all of them are 5-star reviews.
Okay.
And then somebody gave us a 1-star.
What?
I've been crying about it all week.
What did they say?
They didn't say anything. They just
hit once. I think they had a seizure. That cannot.
The only explanation.
That cannot. Can we rebuttal that?
Well, no, they didn't write a review. They rated it. Did I say review?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that the only explanation for that is a mistake or a seizure.
A seizure.
And their finger slipped.
Just a slip of the finger. A slip of the finger.
Can we not rebut that?
No, because they didn't write anything. All they did was, I can't tell who it is that's doing that. So
I can tell you exactly who it was.
Oh, gosh.
I can tell.
Deanne Steedham?
Deanne Steedham. Deanne, if you're listening, if you give us one more 1-star review,
we will do another episode.
I'll do another episode, and I'll do it live on camera in a moldy pair of leggings. You just try me. I am devastated. Amarilla said, why have you told me this on air?
I forgot.
My gosh. Y'all, I'm shocked. I didn't even know this. I've been basking in the glow of our triple listens. And now this downfall. Goodness.
It certainly could be somebody that is from LuLaRoe that listened to us and maybe didn't like it. I don't know.
Amaryllis, it could be one of my own personal enemies.
You have many.
Of which there are many.
You have many. Could it be somebody from our local Board of Education?
Could it be someone from the local high school? I don't know.
One of our children's friends.
We don't know what is happening, okay?
We'd like to say we're drama-free, but the truth is we are not.
Could I please ask y'all, as my Christmas gift this year, if you will leave a 5-star review and a good comment, will you go on and rate and review us?
Yes. You can do it on iTunes or Facebook, or you know what? Both.
Or both. If it's anything less than 5 stars, lose my number. How about that?
Hey, listen, I'm just looking on Facebook right now. My friend says to me, hey, you know that me and these other 2 friends of mine were 2 of the last people to see Gwen and Joe alive.
What?
She said they even have a picture.
Stop!
I'm going to get them to give me that picture.
We're putting that on Instagram.
I don't know the story.
What?
So shout out to my friend JT.
JT?
And Mindy.
Do we need to do an interview?
Shout out to my friend Hayes who listens. She's one of I wish she'd have brought this up before. Yes, Hayes, sweet lady.
Yeah.
She and JT and Mindy apparently were among the last people to see the Shamblins alive.
Stop it.
Or the Laras, not the Shamblins, the Laras alive.
Y'all, we have so many new listeners. Just thank you so much for supporting us. And
we love this nonsense.
If y'all would just go on and start sending us a monthly donation, we could really get this thing off the ground. But we've
it could be as little as $3,600 a month.
If you could just Venmo me directly, I would really appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
All right.
What are we going to do next time? We have so many to pick from.
Y'all, I've watched at least 4 documentaries
Me too.
in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
And they're so good. I really want to do that buried one.
Which one?
The buried one.
Buried, okay.
About the woman who had the memories. I'm not going to give it away.
There's that one with Brittany Murphy.
Brittany Murphy,
and I feel like I just saw one about the OxyContin epidemic.
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I got a lot to say about that.
I do too. Hey, guess what? We're not going to tell you what we're going to do next because then you have to listen.
Exactly. And you have to keep up with us on our Facebook page.
That's right.
Instagram.
And I don't know if you know this, but if you don't rate and review, we're going to fall out of your feed. That's a new thing on podcasts.
That sounds like a plan. I think it's really late now and it's time to go.
Okay. I got to go to bed.
I'll see you later.
Bye.